Okay, it's turning out to be a very busy week shaping up in Canadian political landscape, and Scott's joining us, getting creative as well. But here to talk politics this morning, Scott, good to see you. What is that?
We got to it. This is my physical representation of the Canadian political landscape. It's all busted to hell. Everybody's calling an election or leadership or something. We got all of the politics for like 4 years grouped into 4 months.
It's all happening, really. I mean, it really is happening.
Federal leadership, which will also pick a new prime minister, then a federal election, an Ontario election about to be cracked off.
Yeah.
There's plenty to talk about. And, of course, you know, things are starting to move at City Hall.
Exactly. Okay, so let's talk federally. With this, of course, connects to the Trump tariffs, which is the issue everyone seems to be talking about. Minister Mélanie Joly is going to head down to the States to talk to her counterpart there, Marco Rubio. This is a pretty high-stakes conversation.
This is. And, you know, we've seen a bunch of shuttle diplomacy going on. We've seen, you know, the Prime Minister having dinner with Donald Trump and other officials going back. I think this one matters a lot because it comes in the shadow of February 1st when Donald Trump suggested he might throw 25% tariffs across the board, all goods and services going into the United States. So Joly meeting with Marco Rubio, new Secretary of State, David McGuinty, Public Safety Minister, meeting with his counterpart, Border Czar Tom Homan. And so I think the big question is, do they emerge today with confirmation that tariffs will not be applied on February 1st? A lot of speculation that they're not going to come in until April 1st, but will that happen? If it happens, will it happen today? Will we see that set up? Or are we going to face those February 1st tariffs? And here's the thing. You talk to business people across this country. I mean, they literally have no idea what to expect. The U.S. administration has been absolutely unclear as to what they will do and when they will do it. And that's because Donald Trump literally is like a mad Roman Empire. It's like, I don't know. I may decide to wake up tomorrow and outlaw the color red. I may decide that the moon should be colored black. Like, I am just all powerful and I'll decide things based on my diet and my mood. And so hopefully we'll see that they can secure some delay in those tariff implementations. But Bob's your uncle.
I saw Homan on CNN last night. That man is all business.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't crack. So those conversations.
Well, and the linkage between the border and, you know, and the reason we see the U.S. making that linkage, there is a logic for it beyond just obvious, and that is it's the tool that gives them the right to impose these tariffs. Right. So they're going to consistently try to make this argument that there's an emergency on the northern border with Canada. And as you can tell, obviously, things are on fire, right? It's,
really?
Yeah, we're just shipping acres of fentanyl down. It's just, it's all political pretense and garbage.
For sure. Okay, and the threat of these tariffs is the reason why Premier Doug Ford is saying he needs to call a new election. Nick just interviewed Bonnie Crombie about her new riding that she's going to be in and why she thinks she should be the next premier. So how's it going to play out when we head to the polls Feb 27th?
Well, let's look at the poll. Let's look at the polling about the poll. So today, you know, the premier is going to meet with the lieutenant governor. Tomorrow, the campaign will start. February 27th, we'll vote. And, you know, if you look at the polls right now, there's some mishmash. But you look at the reliable pollsters. They show Donald Trump, goodness. They show Doug Ford with a giant lead, 47-48%. Liberals maybe somewhere mid-20s. So we're going to have to watch and see whether that plays out. The number one thing to watch for, in my view, if Doug Ford is going to defy expectations and find himself in trouble, we'll know right away because he'll stumble out of the gate. There will be pressure on him. Why are you having this election? It's unnecessary. Why would you spend $175 million on an election you don't need in order to fight terrorists? Why wouldn't you spend that $175 million protecting business workers? That's what the opposition are going to say. Can they tag him with it? Can they slow him down? If the first 5-6 days you see Doug Ford stumbling and struggling to answer that question, he can't get off that topic, then maybe the opposition can get some momentum. If not, he's probably going to sail to another majority win.
It was interesting. In my conversation with Ms. Crombie just now, I asked her sort of 3 different ways about the threat of Trump tariffs. She didn't really bite on it and sort of talk about a plan on that. Are you surprised that would be the way she would take that?
I'll tell you why, and this highlights the difficulty that she and Marit Stiles, the NDP leader, have. They don't want to talk. If you're the opposition, you don't want to talk about the tariff threat because you know you're playing on Doug Ford's territory. So if you go on CP24 and you're Bonnie Crombie and the clip out of it for the rest of the day that runs is about tariffs, the threat of tariffs, Donald Trump, then that helps Doug Ford make his argument. Instead, she wants to keep it on. Don't be blowing $175 million. You don't need this. And by the way, let's talk about all those people who are going without family docs. So you see this struggle at the beginning of the campaign to figure out what's the election issue going to be about, and you're getting in her way. That's the
I
issue.
guess I was.
She's these damn reporters keep asking me the wrong question.
Exactly. All right. Speaking of struggles, food insecurity has now been declared an emergency in the city of Toronto. That came out yesterday. That's a really sad state of affairs for the sign of our times right now, really, isn't it?
And you know, people can sort of say, oh, well, politics this, politics that. I think it's kind of hard to argue with when we take a look at, you know, the accumulation of months and months and months of the affordability crisis, what's happening in terms of particularly downtown Toronto, how people are struggling, the subscriptions that we've been hearing about in terms of food bank use, and you hear from Neil Hetherington at the food bank. I don't know that there's any real disputing this, and it's kind of a reminder as we get crammed with these high-level politics. You know, Melanie Joly going down to talk to Marco Rubio, Doug Ford calling an election to talk about Donald Trump, all this stuff about, you know, kind of tariffs and the economy, broad level, and it's like, then you come back to City Hall, and it's like, well, we're struggling to make certain that people have a loaf of bread. And that's where the rubber hits the road. And of course, the connection is, you know, will the threat of tariffs mean that the economy will slow, businesses will withdraw investment, we'll see jobs start to peter out, and suddenly that affordability crisis and that food insecurity crisis will increase.
Wow. Okay. And now with avian flu hitting poultry, egg prices could go up as well. So we are in quite the tornado.
They say the price of eggs will double. And I myself eat 24 eggs a day. So this is a very heavy burden. I mean, I just drink them raw like Rocky.
I'm sure you do. I'd like to see that breakfast of champions. I'm sure. Scott Reed, always appreciate the insight and analysis. I know.
Thanks. I'm taking this with me.
Go brick by brick.
I hate Lego. It's so hard.
Really?
I hate it.
I love it.
Oh, yeah. I hear a build like, you know, the Death Star. Not a chance. How would you do that?
All right. Okay. We're going to let you go, Scott. Thanks so much.